doing the compassion practices, we practice, what would be the word, the universality of compassion. Meaning, it's like everybody deserves compassion. We have to let things kind of take care of themselves. We can't really intervene directly, so that's the job of other people. But for our own mental health and well-being, we're doing what we can. The people who have very antisocial behavior, very selfish behavior, we can't really do anything about it necessarily ourselves. A lot of people are out there doing what they can, and so our being compassionate toward these people can be helpful in the long run, and can be helpful in the way of sending out these ripples of compassion and understanding. And when we do that, we find that we automatically begin to come into balance, into better balance. Because I don't know about y'all, but I was very disturbed by a lot of things that were going on in the world, and for quite a while, and it's really frustrating that these things are happening. But when I'm able to be compassionate and do my part and include everybody in my good wishes for them and the world, I feel it does something. We've talked about sort of about how compassion tends to radiate out and like a ripples in a lake, and so that's what I thought for today. But also the idea about how do we get started. A lot of people when I talk about this go, well, what am I going to do? How do I get started? Well, my answer to that really is to look for what you find inspiring, whatever it is. Whether it's just a walk in the woods, or music, or literature, or film, or writings, philosophy, whatever it is, but something that one finds inspiring, because that feeling of being inspired can carry us all the way through to some kind of meaningful action and put us in closer proximity to people who are like-minded. Volunteer work. Generally, Dallas is one of the most, has more volunteer hours per capita than any other city in the United States, which I find really an unusual fact. But there's a lot of volunteer work here, so it's like somebody is not feeling all that useful, man, there's a lot of places, there's a bunch of places where someone can go to be useful immediately, right away. So those are my thoughts, and one of the ways that I thought might be most beneficial, because we use, oftentimes I suggest mindfulness and or compassion as a launching pad, so to speak. Meaning that while the implicit benefit is for us personally, we begin to, when adding compassion, realize that even though it is of benefit to us personally, it's also of great benefit to those around us and other people who we may not have met yet. And so in that understanding, doing the meditation and the compassion exercises are always doing some good. And it takes us out of the I've got to fix it mode. What I found too is when practicing compassion without any restrictions on it, I tend to feel better, and I just feel better that I'm doing something, even though I don't know how or when or where or whatever, but I know I'm making some kind of contribution. With that in mind, I thought we'd do a moderately extended mindfulness meditation, and then a compassion for the world. What I'll do is we'll do a compassion for oneself and a loved one, and then go directly to the world. Now that's a pretty big jump, but the idea is that when we're being compassionate toward another, it's easier to make the transition to the world because it includes everything. In other words, sometimes our friends, sometimes they put them in a place of difficulty, and so we don't blame them for that. We just hope that they can kind of figure out a way out of it, and we're compassionate for them when they're in a state of difficulty. So that's what I thought we'd do. Okay, well, let's start. So finding a comfortable spot, place, position. And we'll begin. Just settling down, coming to rest with ease in the present moment. And letting everything settle as best you can. Perhaps starting with the stillness of the body. Our body is the epitome of present moment awareness. It's always in the right here, right now. And inviting the emotions to settle and the mind to settle as well. And of course, if thoughts arise, simply recognizing it as a thought and letting it go, and returning to just being. And as we continue to sit and continue to settle, realizing there's only the present moment that we have. Everything else is fiction. We may remember things from the past that we remember specifically, but how we see them and how we respond to them, oftentimes, is fiction. And the more we settle, the easier it is to just recognize and release thoughts sometimes just as they're arising. And there may be one right after the other. And that's okay. This is the brain. Sometimes just really loves to be busy. And seeing how best we can cultivate this stillness, this inner silence, and this sense of just being. Just sitting in the present moment. And allowing thoughts to just move on. And allowing feelings to just move on also. And sometimes the brain is resistant, and is busy throwing out thoughts. And that's okay. The best we can do sometimes is simply observe. But even so, getting the feeling that when we're just being, we're okay. And part of the letting go is realizing we can have a thought and not have it evoke any judgment, criticism, or particular emotion. It can just be a thought. And allowing ourselves these moments of relative equanimity, however intermittent they may be, of peace, absent of judgment. And even though the thoughts may be provocative, just recognizing and releasing and returning. Those are all just thoughts. And into this arena of stillness and equanimity, allowing compassion to arise for oneself. It may arise as a flood or light or feeling, music, whatever, however it is seen and felt. And perhaps realizing that we needed some compassion in some areas and didn't know it. And that it is always there for us at no cost, just pausing enough to allow it to flow in. And allowing it to fill up our body and our awareness. Like milk filling a glass, filling us to the brim. And working its way into every single aspect of our mind and body, no matter how small the space may be. Compassion finds it all and enters. And being kind to ourselves in this process, compassionate with ourselves. And allowing ourselves to be filled to the utmost. To the point of overflowing. And bringing to mind a warm and close relationship, or somebody that you know is in need. and this overflow, letting it flow to them of compassion. And allowing them to fill up as well. And sensing they're receiving this compassion and filling them up, continuing to fill them up to the brim like it did with us. As we share in this compassion. And as this compassion continues and fills one and the other to the brim, allowing this to radiate out without any hesitation to the world. Perhaps to the planet itself, or all the millions of creatures, different species of creatures there are, or maybe just to the elements of air, fire, water, and earth, or maybe all the people sort of caught in the crossfire these days. Remembering that compassion is impartial and is needed by everyone, no matter how difficult it may be for them to accept compassion or to treat others compassionately. They deserve compassion also. Whether they can receive it or not is not our business. It's up to them. And perhaps thinking of it as like sunlight that penetrates and runs through everything. So it not only shines on the planet and the people and creatures on the planet, but in and through every being, including the planet herself. And sort of hovering here for the moment, the self and other, and the planet and all beings on the planet. And sort of resting in this radiance, flowing through us, the other, and the world. And perhaps even finding some peace there. Not knowing exactly what will happen. But perhaps the compassion that we are sending can be of some benefit at some point. Sort of like planting a fruit tree who may not bear fruit for 5 or 6 or 7 years. And allowing ourselves to appreciate this and absorb it as best we can. Allowing it as it flows in and through our body to sink in, soak in, like water being absorbed by a sponge, nourishing our body and every aspect of our being. So that in a moment when the bell rings again, we can carry that with us as we go throughout the day and come back to it at any time.